I'm gonna touch
For
your hands,
you.
but you're not gonna feel it, 'cause I'm a ghost.
I can feel it even though you're a ghost.
How does it feel?
Little bit awkward.
Yeah, I love you.
Really awkward.
You say ditto. I know you haven't seen the movie, like a lot of movies from the past that you haven't seen. I just spit a little bit in your ear. I'm sorry. I love you.
Ditto.
There you go.
No, I mean, I just spit in your ear too.
Oh.
I don't know how it went like that. Ghost is a movie. That's where you were going with that. Movie I haven't seen.
Yeah, that's why you didn't know the ditto thing.
Ditto.
Whoopi Goldberg was in the movie. She's now a host on a show called The View.
There's some. Was that your?
I
spit
know
on my
all
laptop?
kinds of things about celebrities. Ask me a question. Can I tell we couldn't remember whether or not I've told this story on Good Mythical More. I'll tell a truncated version of it.
This is a happy zoo story? Because I got some
Was
more
for me.
totally unhappy zoo stories. But yeah, tell yours first, and then we'll go into those. Welcome to Good Mythical More.
Okay, so the big if when you visit the zoo is,
Are the animals going to be awake?
are the animals going to be awake?
I'm right.
Are they going to be close to where I can see them? Or is it going to be like, oh, I'm so excited about this new lion exhibit, and they're like 100 feet away, and like you can see like they're like snoring, and there's like a hand coming up, and that's all the action that you get.
Oh, well, I got something about that.
Oh,
But-
really?
I'll save it until you're done.
But my favorite part of the whole zoo, of any zoo, is, chimpanzees, gorillas, talking.
Talking? Talking chimpanzees and gorillas.
I'm talking the
I've never
primates.
seen that exhibit.
The primates. And so, and gorillas are my favorite. Gorillas are my favorite exhibit. And this guy, the gorilla, was just like super active that day, and it was like a younger one, and he was like kind of showing off to the people and like going up and like doing things and like turning around and like putting his back up against the thing. And then, so I was like, man, and me and the kids are like right there. I was like, this is awesome. We got this so we're so close to this thing that could just rip our heads off. And then all of a sudden, we see that there is a rabbit inside the enclosure. And I don't think the zoo actually feeds rabbits to the gorillas.
No, probably
I think
not.
a rabbit just got in there somehow.
A jungle rabbit.
And they see this rabbit, the gorillas, and there's like 4 gorillas in there. They see this rabbit, and they just start going nuts running after it. And they chase this rabbit around. It was amazing. They're running after this rabbit, and they're like chasing it into a hole, and they're like reaching down into the hole. And eventually they got the rabbit, and they picked it up, and then they threw it. And then they like wait for it to go again. And then they chase it around, and they would find it. And every time they found it, it was like Lenny touching the puppy. They would ruin the rabbit a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I said this is great for the gorillas and the people watching, not great for the rabbits. So just spoiler alert.
Well, I'm sure there's a certain type of person that wouldn't have been happy to watch that.
And so they take the rabbit and then they throw it again, and then eventually it was
Against the glass?
No, they throw it out into the middle of the enclosure, like in the grass, and wait for it to move. And then eventually they threw it one last time, and it was like, guys, it's not going to move this time. Like we've expended the rabbit. And the fun was over at that point.
The fun was over for Rhett.
It was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen at a zoo. It was like they were playing. You know what I mean? They were just playing. They were just having a ball. It was like, this is what would happen in the wild.
Next time you go to zoo, you should take a bunch of rabbits.
Yo, hey, trust me, brother. I didn't want to reveal it publicly because when that whole bag of rabbits was in there, like, I didn't want everybody to know it was me. So the
Funner than a bag of rabbits in this zoo.
First, I got to go to the rabbit exhibit with a bag.
I know some of you
can't get them in the front
I know
door.
you may be uncomfortable with his story, and I agree with you.
But from an ethical standpoint, if you had to choose between a gorilla and a rabbit to live or die, what would you do? Think about that for the weekend.
It's not the weekend. It's just life, man. I don't need a weekend.
But this is the kind of thing you think about on the weekend. I don't want to ruin the middle of your week. Don't think about it now. Wait until you're
Put it on
just
schedule. Like put
until
it in
you're-
your schedule.
You're lounging.
Think about the gorilla bunny
lounging at the
conundrum over your of little slot of time.
I'll say it right now. If I had to choose between a gorilla and a rabbit, I would choose the gorilla. I mean, what? Of course.
Well, choose what?
If it was up to me,
Life?
that one has to die, gorilla or rabbit, I'm going to choose the rabbit every time.
But let me mix it up. What if I told you that the rabbit could kill the gorilla? And that will happen. Like, you throw the rabbit in there and you choose which one dies. That's what you're choosing. And I'm saying, you know what? I got inside knowledge that if you choose the rabbit, the rabbit will kill the gorilla. Don't you want to see that?
No, I don't want to see a gorilla die. I didn't want to see the rabbit die, but I'm saying if I had to choose one.
If you had to, so you would choose to see a gorilla kill a rabbit over a rabbit killing a gorilla?
I don't want any gorillas to die. I don't want any rabbits to die, but
I'd be willing.
A gorilla dying, there's like 800 of them left. It's like a really big deal.
But okay, if
they're like super smart. Like
if they weren't
a
endangered,
gorilla could be my co-host for the show.
Screw you, man. No.
I mean, a rabbit. We've had rabbits on this show before. Rabbits are just a cute addition to the show. But a gorilla could replace Link, and it would just be a little bit different.
It's hitting a little too close to home, man.
I don't want you to die either, man. That's what I'm getting at.
You're talking about the lion.
Ethics class.
I don't want to see gorillas die either. But if gorillas were like
there's just
an infinite supply of gorillas,
there are too many gorillas,
and a bunny could kill a gorilla in this one instance. If I made a choice to see that, I would be interested in how it would happen.
What if we were at war with the gorillas?
If it was an animation.
What if we were at war with the gorillas and our weapons were rabbits? That would be. We had rabbit guns.
Right, but we need to figure out what's the best mode of attack. So we got to run a simulation. I'm saying an animation.
Rabbit bomb. You just a big bag of rabbits and stuff.
Vampire rabbits. All right, so
man,
I'm gonna give you this.
What universe does that happen? It happens in a universe. That's the weird thing, because the multiverse theory, what we just talked about, if it can be imagined, it is happening. There is a universe where there are humans who are at war with gorillas and they have rabbit weapons. And they
reproduce so quickly.
Yeah, they overwhelm you.
If you can weaponize anything, a rabbit, like that's one of the first things. Like that's probably part of how they could defeat the.
They suffocate the gorillas.
Right.
With their fur.
This looks like a gorilla covered in a blanket, and then you realize the gorilla has suffocated.
Yeah. It is sad though. It's still sad. I'm not saying it's not sad, but if it came down to me or a gorilla.
I mean, we're getting a whole lot of pleasure from this conversation.
That's going to be me every time.
But we're really sad.
Rabbit versus gorilla.
In the core.
Gorilla. Me versus rabbit. Me. Me versus gorilla. Me. Me versus Link.
You versus gorilla. Gorilla.
I would die for you. I would die for you.
I just thought you were talking about if they were fighting each other.
If you were a gorilla, I would not die for you.
Can I still tell this story?
That's a good T-shirt.
Yeah.
Please tell this story.
You're talking about lions sleeping. Well, a 45-year-old man and his wife go to the Nandakanan Zoo in India.
That's it.
Nandakanan Zoo in India. It's 2012.
Recent.
Yeah, so this is in the day and age when you should know better than getting in a lion enclosure.
You should have seen it on television.
I'm just saying, by 2012, you should know.
You don't want to be
80s, maybe not.
True TV.
Maybe it's like they're nice. I don't know.
World's craziest animals, 10.
So Surya, the husband, is with his wife, and he went to the enclosure, started removing his clothes.
There's a theme here.
He saluted 2 sleeping lions. Then he gets into the cage, curls up, and goes to sleep. Not next to them, but like in another corner of the cage. The husband goes to sleep.
He's naked?
It says he removed his clothes.
Okay.
According to eyewitness accounts, Supriya, a lioness, was the first to reach him. She smelled the man, then pounced upon him. The man fainted. There was no screaming, no signs of resistance. And then Krish joined in on the mauling.
That's another lion.
Supriya bit the man's skull. Both the lions dragged the man about 50 feet, one grabbing his neck and the other his leg. Panic soon spread in the zoo. Hundreds of visitors rushed to the site. I gotta see this!
Better than a gorilla and a rabbit, I'll tell you that much.
They started screaming and throwing stones at the animals to try to save the man's life. The lions, who were born in the zoo and unaware of the act of hunting in the wild, were equally panicked by the commotion, and they ran away and hid, leaving his body. Zoo staff,
they had never done this. They had only eaten like meat that had been given to them.
Right. Zoo staff removed Surya's body, and he lived. and was quoted as saying,
So usually when you say body, it's because they died.
I know,
But you're
they
throwing
did.
us off.
They removed his body.
Okay.
He's quoted as saying, "I wanted to die after quarreling with my wife.
Oh.
I thought becoming fodder for the lions was the best way to end my life. Hence, I entered the enclosure, removing a questionable amount of clothes first and taking a nap before they decided to attack." I don't know about those parts.
Yeah, those were interesting stages.
I mean, Chrissy and I have like gotten into some fight. I went like this, but arguments, not fist fights.
Yes.
In public a couple of times. You know, there's tensions.
In public. At the zoo, you ever got into a fight
But
at the zoo?
I never thought about like jumping in an enclosure.
No.
It doesn't get that bad. It's like, we can work this out. I don't need to get naked and take a nap in a lion enclosure to make this better.
This guy needs to see someone other than a lion.
I think a gorilla could do your job too, just for the record.